So lots of conviction, and you know when you're young, you believe that you can do anything.
Yeah.
And with a woman by my side, that's why I married her.
Yeah.
Because my father's success in the meat industry was also having my mother next to her by his side. And together we were able to see this thing through. And, you know, she gave me a lot of, I handled the business side of the opening of the shops and that sort of thing. And she gave me a lot of confidence. And, you know, she was like, no, run with it. Yeah, man.
Well, anyway, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It's another week, another Friday, and it is time for Love, Marriage, and Family Podcast with myself, Mo, and this wonderful, gorgeous lady.
Goddess. Goddess, indeed. Why don't you just complete that
sentence? Goddess.
Thank you so much, guys. Once again, thank you for welcoming us to your homes. It's always a pleasure. We're excited to be here, and thank you so much for your subscriptions. Thank you for watching every week. You know, it keeps us excited, and obviously it keeps us, wanting to find the best people for you to watch, because you keep coming at the podcast. Thank you so much for that. We truly appreciate you. If you are not subscribed, please make sure that you do subscribe so that we can grow this platform, and growing it will also mean we are able to give you the best people that we can be able to find to come to the platform.
And today we have no less the best, absolutely. You know, a couple that began, oh my goodness, back in 2000, selling skirts from their VW Beetle. Oh my goodness. And that was like a year before when they began fully fledged, a company that is now a household name, certainly Sungoddess. Resonates everywhere in the country, in the continent, and they have been participating virtually in all fashion shows around the world. In Washington, they've been in Frankfurt, they've been everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives us an absolutely wonderful, great pleasure to welcome.
Yes. What I call the parents of African fashion.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
You guys are honestly the parents of African fashion. What we know now to be this African chic fashion is what you guys established in 2001. Yeah. Welcome, Sis Vanya and Thando, Mangaliso.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you for such a warm welcome. We've never been called that, and definitely we gladly accept, and such an honor to be here and look at you to pay such beautiful tribute to our work, to wear something so beautiful, a skirt from the Nubian range. It's really just so heartwarming.
2006.
This was in 2006.
2006.
You know, guys, I had to honor you. Let me be honest.
Wow.
As I was looking for something to wear, I was like, I have to find a Sungoddess signature skirt.
Wow.
That is
you nailed it. You
especially because you guys started selling skirts, which is quite interesting, which we're going to get to where Thando is concerned. Why skirts? But anyway. But guys, thank you so much. This is such a privilege. It's such an honor for us.
Such an honor.
To be sitting with you. Welcome to Love, Marriage, and Family Podcast.
Thank you, and likewise.
You guys. And congratulations.
Thank you.
This is such an amazing platform, such important work you're doing. Yeah. We wish you even more success.
Thank you so much.
So, 2000, you guys, by that time in year 2000, you guys were already in a relationship, right?
Yes.
And for how long?
It was about a year and a half, I think.
About a year and a half. Yeah. So what is it that draws you together to a point where to have that common goal, around, and common interest even, around fashion, clothes, and so on, to a point that you guys would actually say, we're going to sell skirts from the back of our Beetle?
I think if you look back on how this whole thing started, you have to look at the context in which we're operating in the country.
Yeah.
It's around 2000. It's South Africa finding its feet, redefining our identity.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time in the country. You've got President Mbeki, who speaks of the African Renaissance. There are all these opportunities. We are young. we want to make an impact in our society. We want to make a difference. It was also about healing where we were coming from, that reconstruction of the identity. And I was working at corporate at the time at Transnet, and my job was to, I was working in logistics. So I would travel from like the Congo right down to Durban. And in every country that you went to, you could see the South African aesthetic, the aesthetic of that country. Whereas in South Africa, it wasn't clearly defined. He had been studying in France at the time. And I mean, he can tell you more about the kind of influence and impact that had in his life in terms of how he saw his own culture, in the sense that, I mean, he also wanted to come back and make a contribution, and that's where we met. And for us, fashion was just such a great communicator. We saw it as a vehicle within which we could express our dreams, our hopes, and make that contribution to the South African life going forward.
Yeah, I think, it was meant to be. The stars aligned. I remember when I met her, she was very intelligent, very dynamic, and more importantly, I could trust her, as a business partner. I think that's the underlying quality in her that made me want to get into business with her. And, selling skirts from the boot of my car was not the intention as much as, how do we get this thing off the ground? So, and more importantly, we didn't have much money. The skirt was a very direct communicator. It was a shre skirt. And we thought, let's take something that we know, let's modernize it, let's present it differently. And if you think of shre where it comes from, let the shre become like caviar. How can we serve our African style and identity in a different way and celebrate it more? So if you think of champagne in France, if you think of Maserati in Italy, it's Italians being Italian, it's French being French. And what does it mean when you celebrate and being South Africa? How can we as South Africans contribute, not only in fashion, but in food and film, towards global trends, so to speak? And that was my mission when I came back. And I met this wonderful lady, and the clothes were a very direct communicator for us.
Oh, wow. So you guys met here in South Africa?
Yeah.
In Joburg, yeah.
In Joburg. What was happening? How did that happen?
Why are you stealing my lines? As you are talking, Thando, I'm thinking, how did you guys meet?
We were introduced by friends. He, my next door neighbors at the time, he was... He had come back from Paris, and
He was supposed to stay for one day.
He had gone to Cape Town, and he thought, let me just go and see what's happening in Joburg. What are people doing in Joburg? And so he came to visit his friends, and that's how we were introduced, and that's how we met. And he just kept coming back until he decided, I think I'll stick around.
So he never moved back?
He never went back to Cape Town.
Oh,
went
wow.
back to Cape Town, yeah.
He became a migrant labor.
Oh, exactly.
Ikoduga laseKapa.
Exactly. That's what it still is. I mean, till this day.
Siyagoduka ngoDecember.
Yes.
I love how you guys have been intentional about preserving African culture. And I think that is so amazing. As I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh my word. In life, there are those things that you want to choose and say, I want to stand for this. And you guys have decided to stand for preservation of African culture, which is commendable.
Thank you.
Can you take us back to your first store at Rosebank in 2001 when you opened that store? Because that was a milestone.
Sure.
Guys,
During that time,
guys,
oh my
come
goodness.
on. Ukubase Mall, not just anymore.
At Rosebank.
At Rosebank.
Oh my goodness.
Please take us through that journey of getting you there into that first store.
Wow. Thanks for the opportunity to reflect. It's not something we do every time because we're so busy trying to do the next thing and the next thing. So, like we say, this is what year now, 2001. Once we decided that, we've got this product, we want to get it out there. And so we called up our friends, we called up our colleagues and said, listen, we've got this product. And the response was really, really amazing. So you soon realize that it's one thing to go around taking orders, but if you can have a base and you have stock, people can get the product that much quicker. You can plan better. Things are a bit more predictable. But you can imagine that this was a time in the country where there wasn't everyone was producing in China. It was just the wrong time to be going into retail.
And all the factories were closing.
Yeah.
Manufacturing in South Africa was no longer. It was almost like the death of manufacturing in South Africa. And on the cusp of that, we went to university, by the way. I did marketing. She did social sciences.
Yeah.
And besqashiwe futhi. And the next thing, asafuna usebenza, asifuna ukuthunga izishweshwe.
Can you imagine our parents, how concerned they were?
You know, it's
At the time, of course.
Yeah, like you got these degrees and now we educate you. You want to do what? So, and also retail was also on the slump.
Oh, wow.
I mean, when we went to Rosebank and also you didn't walk into a nearest mall and find an African fashion. It was also for us one of the things that drove us to going into the mall, because if we wanted to uplift African aesthetics, we had to present it in a way that people were used to buying their fashion.
Let's make it desirable.
Because we believed in the fact that it could be as elevated. I mean, when I was in transit, I was lucky to travel the world also, to go overseas. So I had the best, like, of the your dominant brands, the Gucci's, the Louis. And for me, it was like, I want to have the same feeling, the same experience that I get when I walk into like a designer store. And therefore, we had to make it desirable, make it easy. Because also another thing is, most of our African things, you would, if you wanted beautiful, authentic, let me put it like that, you'd have to go to a place like Mai Mai.
Yeah.
Now, it's not easy for everyone to go there, and that's why we undervalue our cultures. So we had to elevate it and make it aesthetically pleasing. And Rosebank was more accessible in the sense that also we wanted it to be accessible to a lot of people, unlike malls like Sandton, where you had to have a car to get to Sandton. It wasn't as accessible as Rosebank. And because also retail was on a decline, we were also able to go there and take advantage of the empty retail spaces that were there and negotiate a good deal with the landlords and say, listen, we need to get in here. And they were shocked, of course. They were like, really?
Who are you? Like,
who are
really?
Can this be done?
What experience? Like, okay, where's your surety?
Yeah.
You don't even own a car. Your asset here is the VW Beetle. We can't put that against the rental. You know?
No, that one would give good value.
And also for them, their idea of African fashion was at the market across the road, the Rosebank flea market. So that was their idea of African fashion. So now you want to take that and put it in a mall. So it was really a big a mind shift for everyone.
Sure.
I mean, I marvel in today's world. You walk into virtually every single mall,
And there
is an African store.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how people, I don't even think they have an idea of what it took to get it there. Like, I mean, when we opened a store in Sandton, I remember like years later, one guy from Angola was a big spender in the mall, came and said, you know what, when you guys opened, I said, I'm giving you 6 months. I didn't think you would last. I didn't think anybody would be interested in African fashion.
Other people even laughed. They were like, okay, what are you guys doing here? You know, why are you doing what you're doing? You know,
I can imagine. I mean, tell us a little bit more there, Thando, because that journey, surely it's not an easy journey.
No,
First of all, you are, I'm trying to find a proper way to describe this. You are a trailblazer here. No one has walked that path. And here you are, because that's the thing about obviously being a trailblazer, you get all the knocks.
Yeah.
By the time others come, you've
The road
endured.
is carved, yeah.
So true.
You know, so how was that journey basically to do what hasn't been done before?
Yeah, okay. Well, for us, Anditi, I'm from Cape Town, so we come from a family of businesses. Tina, sithengisa inyama. Sikhule sinezilahla pha endlini. So that's where the idea of the shops came in. You know, our model was to have shops, to have stock so we could retail. So my vision was very, very strong in the conviction of what I was doing. Also, the paper that I did was linking African products and how can we infuse ourselves into Europe. Yeah, and that was my paper. And not so much importing from Europe, but how is Africa going to export that way in terms of sustainability in the long term? Yeah, so I immediately understood that I wanted to get into manufacturing or secondary industries, as they called them in the paper then. So lots of conviction, and you know when you're young, you believe that you can do anything.
Yeah.
And with a woman by my side, that's why I married her.
Yeah.
Because my father's success in the meat industry was also having my mother next to her by his side, and together we were able to see this thing through. And you know, she gave me a lot of. I handled the business side of the opening of the shops and that sort of thing, and she gave me a lot of confidence. And you know, she was like, "No, run with it, run with it." Yeah, so you know, the product was good. Myself, I love selling to people. I love interactions. I grew up in selling to anyone, you know, and we were very warm in the way that we did our business. But more importantly, the women in South Africa, like yourself, took us into their confidence. They couldn't believe the audacity, but more importantly, let's support these two young people, you know.
Yeah.
And I go on to say, I've made tens of millions in this business due to the support of South African people who saw my vision and bought into my vision. I'm not self-made. I am made by the women and my customers and men who saw what I do. And that's my story. I mean, I'm clever, but I'm not that clever. But more importantly, disappointed ngabantu baseMzansi Africa.
Yes,
As a whole. And even now, you know, like we've opened, we closed our shop in Sandton. We've got a shop now at the Palace in the Lost City.
Yes.
We're doing uniforms there. It's a very glamorous situation, same situation where it's not for everyone. And but I love retail. I love staff. I love the tension. I love having to pay rent. I love facing the odds. It's what keeps me young. I love it. It's what my father did. It's what I do. It's what we continue to do as people. You know, being in business is not a joke. Huh?
Yeah.
We are like the animals in the Kruger National Park at 2 o'clock trying to survive. You go without making money for 2 years. If you talk of real business people, we all, if you think of the last 5 years, most people haven't made that much money, but it's the passion that continues to drive us, you know.
Yeah.
It's more, you know, being in business is a privilege, and getting to do what you set out to do 25 years later and continue to do it at the highest level is my reward.
Yeah.
Also,
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
South Africa is
Sure.
is an amazing country. Like if you think about it, that I mean, when we speak to some of the young kids that we mentor, we often say that the kind of opportunities that you have in this country, in spite of all the challenges, you would never have anywhere else. If you're a young child in Nigeria or Zimbabwe, you're trying to get into business, you'd have to be somebody's child.
Oh, yeah.
To, you know,
Connection.
to
Yeah.
break through. But in South Africa, we were able to start this business with literally nothing. And funny enough, we never got any loans up until maybe our fourth or fifth store. It was literally a case of selling the skirt. When he talks of that support, how people just resonated and wanted to support us, that's how real it was. We literally sold one skirt, sold another skirt. I mean, in our first month, obviously we because, you know, we had a little bit of experience in terms of retail with his family. I had also worked in one of their butcheries for about a couple of months. You know, we were able to manage costs. I mean, these are some of the things that are very challenging to somebody starting a business. And so we kept our costs very low to a point where in our first month, we literally broke even, which is totally unheard of in this industry.
Yeah.
To break even in your first month. And we did. And we had a little store in the corner. We moved it. Within 6 months, we had moved it to a bigger store. And that's how it went on. Obviously, very challenging in the sense that we were, how can I say, we were pioneering in a way. We were, it wasn't like buying a McDonald's franchise.
Yes.
Something that's already successful.
When you
There's a
get
template,
stuck,
yeah.
exactly. When you get stuck, you pull the template, or you call head office. You're like, listen, what do I do with this?
Yes.
Everything. We literally we were creating a whole new market of this African luxury fashion. So we were making mistakes. We were fixing it. We were, you know, calling somebody and saying, how did you do this in your industry? Somebody's giving you good advice. Somebody's giving you terrible advice. And, you know, you're learning as you go along. So it was, you know, we've been blessed the fact that 20 years later, we're still able to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously it hasn't been easy. We've weathered the storms. We've grown in it. We've learned so much from the business. We have, you know, we've worked with people that we've seen grow and go do their own things. I meet people like, on a daily basis say, you inspired us, I wanted to start a business and I didn't know how to, and thank God that I watched you guys do it. So
I think, the success of a lot of people that we interacted with, a majority of our staff, they've gone on to become very successful in their own right.
Yeah.
Lots of people have joined the industry. And for me, that was part of the biggest thing. It's not an industry when you are alone. When there are more than one player, 20 players, 30 players, this thing has been duplicated everywhere from Johannesburg all the way to Cape Town. You walk into West Street, you walk into Smith Street here, Cape Town, Epai, Wongumdiatunga, and to see how, and the nice thing is it's grassroots. Abilungu are trying to get into there, but they can't get into that space.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a nice thick chunk. I've got mamas sewing uniforms, abantwana schooling. It's wedding dresses. It's quite a big industry that they can't get into. It's something that we control, and all we need to do in the next few years is formalize a bit.
Yes.
And that was also my intention, not only to make money for myself, but how do we influence and how do we uplift people as well to create an industry? Like you said, before we came, there was not much happening. We stand on the shoulders of people that went before us. I said, I didn't just come here and this thing was happening. But for it to sort of, it's becoming more cohesive. And you don't have to come to Joburg if you're from Utunga. It gets done everywhere. So even the lady, Sosha Nguve, she's benefiting from the influence that we've had in the industry, which is what we want. Make the circle bigger.
Yes.
And in making that circle bigger, obviously, there are new entrants, there are people of various kinds, and others, obviously, who so much wants to stand on your shoulders that they want to, in a sense, replicate.
sure.
They must.
That must have been a challenge.
How does that affect then, things, the business and so on?
Well, I think it's something that, I know just last week I heard, a couple of some designers in the industry got together to try and fight counterfeits. When it comes to things like copyright, it is so difficult in fashion, because if somebody's copying you, but if I may move back to the sense of it being competition, it's because the industry is at such an infancy. In South Africa, you still need more players to get into for it to be structured. Like he says, to have one or two people doing well, it's not good enough. If we are to have an impact, like I think now you're starting to see that South African fashion breaking through into the global stage. And that's what is needed. You need a few more people doing it on a level so that we can be taken seriously, so that we can have a voice, so we can determine what happens. Because if you also think in terms of the fabrics that are used in the country, we have no say as South African designers. We take what we can get because, first of all, we're not organized. We're not united. It's everyone doing their own thing here and there.
Unregulated.
Largely unregulated. So if we are to get together and become an industry, so for us, we've welcomed the opportunity to work with people who are coming into the industry. Because we've been doing it for a long time, we've also had opportunities to go mentor some of them as part of government initiatives, also as part of South African Fashion Week. We've traveled to the Eastern Cape and ran workshops and in fact, even
you discovered like to make
in Limpopo. Well, not like that.
Why aren't you saying that?
Not like that. One of his first workshops, we were there in the Eastern Cape. So
word.
So it's great to be a part of that industry and watch it grow, and
but sometimes it's somebody. All respect and all of that. Latuma is known worldwide and whatever. But manje muti ingubo ka 50K. and do you have dresses like a 50K when?
That's what a valid question.
I don't know.
It's not a bad question at all. I just think it's one of those strategic decisions that you take as a designer.
Yeah.
How you want to do things. One of the most interesting things, like one customer once said to us, me, if I was in the fashion industry, as much as I'd have dresses at 40,000, I'd also have dresses at 200, so that I get to cover the whole market. In the same way that you look at Porsche, that they introduced the Boxster so that they could reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for us, one of the things also that we realized very early in our business, I mean, there are things called low-hanging fruits in any business, was that when you look internationally, there are a lot of people who are like, oh no, I'm a Gucci girl, I'm a Christian Dior, but they've actually never worn a Christian Dior dress, but they wear the fragrance.
Oh, I see.
The fragrance, all the sunglasses. It's an easy way to enter into that market, for you to start enjoying your particular brand. So like I say, it's a strategic decision that you take as a brand. So with us, we created T-shirts. We created those kinds of things that make it accessible.
Perfumes as well.
And all of that. So that's what you do as a brand, so you can reach everyone.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can go as high as you want, but markets are like pyramids.
Yeah.
There are more people at the bottom of the pyramid than there are at the top.
Yeah.
That's why it's a pyramid scheme.
And for us, remember, our whole thing was really to uplift the African aesthetic and to preserve heritage.
Yeah.
So there's nothing more painful than when I'm downtown shopping and comes this really well-meaning mama, and she's looking at my dress and she's loving it because it reminds her of something that she saw in Eastern Cape or Limpopo, because that's what it's about for us. It's about preserving heritage and identity, and she can't afford it. So it for me, it pains me because it defeats the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not really about, yes, of course the money is important, but it's to preserve heritage. It's to create that sense of identity.
True.
So we will price our things at a so when it comes to pricing, that we factor that into the equation, that it must be affordable to certain people.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we can't go as high as we want. Of course, there are those people who'd want it at 50,000 or at 100,000, and that's okay.
Yeah, because you got to balance it out.
You got to balance it out. But the person who loves the clothes, who identifies with the clothes, the people that preserved it for us for so long, they must also have access to it.
Gotcha.
It's a strategic decision that you take.
Because it's African luxury, it's African heritage. So unlike the others, we are not exclusive as much as we are inclusive.
I get you.
Yes, it's not
the
so
inclusivity is intentional.
Yeah, it's intentional. It's not so much about just the money, but it's the fact that, I mean, like, for instance, I have never turned down anyone because they couldn't afford the item.
Oh, wow.
I have never.
That's quite interesting.
I know how to.
Umama veskaya go ATM, and it's the most amazing thing. Like,
oh wow,
she just does a deal there and then.
I know how to manage costs. I know where I can make up that loss, and to give to one person because they love the clothes. I've actually never deprived someone just because of price. I don't care who you are.
I wish I knew about this.
No, not for our regular customers.
Back in the day, guys.
Each situation, those are unique situations.
Even a
when it
security
happens.
guard where I work in my studio, if she loves the clothes, she keeps watching people going in and out, and she comes and she loves.
No, but you made something for someone now.
And then she wanted to, she has this important occasion she wanted to go to. I said, how much would you normally spend for this sort of thing? And she told me, and I said, okay, cool.
I'll make something.
Come and choose here. Let's see what we can arrange for you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is so kind.
Now you have to be
and such a brilliant business strategy.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens, that when that person has more money or when they can afford, the person that they will think of is
remember
you.
Yeah.
They remember you.
Yeah, no, we've had situations like that where people have been in a bind or whatever it is. People go up and down. And, we've sort of just said people, you can have it. And they come back. When they come back later, it's amazing. People
I've
come
met
back.
an air hostess says, I can't afford the clothes. I wish, one day I want to get married in your clothes. And one day she comes and and she moves up in the world and they grow with us.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's been an amazing journey here. watching how South African women and families have grown in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Someone starts off, and that's the beauty about, you know, where we come from in terms of, my dad always said we deal in the poorest places, Cape Town, in Crossroads and Kailicha. I went to Bishops, but weekends when you're there, you lower your voice, you humble yourself, you listen to the people, because you never know where people land up. And like she said, you start at one point, the trajectory and where people land up has just been fantastic. And when they come back, and to see them also grow in stature in life. And for me, it's not about money as much as, when I say stature, you know, when you get married, you have your first child.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were with a client yesterday who got married, and her daughter's getting married now.
Yes.
And it's just like, wow. And the mother's just such a success as well as an engineer. All her daughters are engineers.
I mean, there was this one where you made a wedding dress for the lady, and you ended up doing the matric dance for the daughter.
For the daughter,
Yeah.
yes.
Which I thought, oh my gosh, if we talk about heritage,
Yeah.
that's exactly what heritage looks like, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's generational.
That's what's
You know?
happening now.
It's been such an honor to watch that whole cycle of life happen.
But it also says you guys have been around.
Oh, totally.
And but also, you know, I want to tie that being around with, obviously, with all the ups and downs that you guys have had in your business. How does that affect the marriage? How does it affect the family?
I think sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's because we've spent our lives fighting out there to make sure that our business stands, that we haven't had time to fight as much. You know,
You've been busy.
we've been busy. The enemy's out there.
Yeah.
But I think for maybe, I don't know. It's been a saving grace that there's been so much to do that we haven't had time. You don't have enough time to bicker at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much. The time that you have, you're precious about it. You do the right thing, and also raising 4 children, it's also not an easy one. And I don't know. And maybe also, as much as we are in the business together, we've got 2 separate roles. And we respect each other. We see each other as allies, which is important. And I think Eli said that. I mean, I trust him, with my life when it comes to both family and business. And it doesn't mean that people don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that we're perfect all the time. But we've just had to soldier on.
Yeah.
And I also think something that makes a difference is its values. I think when you choose a life partner, it's important to look at those things, that when problems happen when you are faced with challenges, what do you do? Do you see it in the same way? Are you the type of people? Are you the type of person who someone will say, "Yo, we need a sangoma. Things are tough," or do you go on your knees? Or do you say, "Okay, let's look at the facts. Where are you likely to lean towards?" And I think something like that is very important in choosing who you're going to go into business with.
Yeah. Yeah. Shared values.
Shared values.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, because challenges are there, they'll always be there.
Yeah.
It's how do you deal with them? How do you come out on the other side?
Oh, that's beautiful.
So we've been lucky that we happen to look in the same direction.
And that's key, eh?
Yeah. More than looking in each other's eyes, we're able to look in the same direction.
That is so powerful.
And then we can move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it becomes easier to chart the course ahead.
But there is a point where, it's not always, I guess, a case of mixing business and pleasure, right? There is a point where we're about the next door. These are the challenges, these are the issues, and whatever, and this is the next, line that we're working on, and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. There is a point where we have to look at each other's eyes,
sure.
Obviously in love,
yes.
and begin to, grow this thing so that we create, in a sense, the balance, that because our lives are not always work.
Sure.
We do go home, we do sleep at night, we do make breakfast, at home, and There are kids, there's there's school fees and whatever, there's always be. But I'm saying there's a time for family, there's a time for the two of us.
Sure.
You know, and that's, I guess, what I'm wanting to get at in terms of creating that balance, you know, between the two.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, she's my best friend. So 8 o'clock in the morning, we switch to work. 5 o'clock, we become lovers and family. So for 15 years, I worked around the clock. I don't remember from 31 to about 47. And then the last 3 years, I was like, okay, let's just slow things down. So we have dinner together. The discussions are great. And then for me personally, if I go on holiday, I need to go with her.
Of course. Why would you go on holiday by yourself?
No. But if you know what I mean, it's
You'll
just
miss,
so, it's
you'll
just
miss
so
your
nice.
best friend.
Yeah, it's just so nice to know that she's going to be with me.
Yeah.
I ride horses, and no horse riding, no love, no horse riding, no holiday. So she had to learn to ride a horse, and then we get away together.
Yes.
And you know, it's just about balance and just being in the moment. You know, like I find that with my kids, when we're having those discussions, and it's 7 o'clock, and it's just for that hour, I really get submerged into that moment, and that memory is created. You don't need much more than that. That one. And then my sons are my best friends. We just love being together. The six of us. Even now, the thought of because we have to invite people for Christmas. Everyone's like, "Oh God, why can't we just be alone?" And
I get what
you know,
you're saying.
and, you know, we're the elders in the family now, and you know, it's just that's why I'm with her. You know, it's kumandi. She still makes me laugh, and she's very clever. Like isilungu sami sikhula, but her English translates everything for me. I just ask her, and like even now, like 27, anything I need, like she's on it, a topic.
Yes.
And you know, like we read a lot as well. So if I ask her words or like context of Shakespeare, comes back, and that's why I married her as well.
Yeah.
She comes from a class of they're teachers there at home. So that's like when they say values. That's why I married her, because I saw the teachers. We were nurses, but we also come from teachers. Gandhi, when I brought her back home on holiday, when she came on holiday with me, and we started talking, our parents knew one another. Everybody knew one another. So my uncles knew one.
Generation they from the town.
Yes.
Everyone went to high school together.
Yes.
So I go on to say, if I had an arranged marriage, which is something I'm going to do with my sons, they would have arranged her.
Is that the plan for your sons? That's interesting.
I would like to do that for my son.
You know,
I kind of feel I know we are digressing, but I kind of feel it's the safest.
Yeah, you
sort
know,
of
like
way
let's
of-
cop like all my like I do a lot of business with Indians, and all the guys, I think 90% it works out.
Yeah.
Somehow it works out. There's a way of doing it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but you know, God willing.
well, I
Let's
suppose
see.
you could see it as guided more than arranged.
Yeah.
That we all need guidance. I think, you know, we came from a time in life where it was all about me, I, the individual. And I think we are now learning to go back to those other values where you're not an island. It takes a village to raise a child. For you guys to be where you are, a lot of people have contributed to where you are, and you don't live in isolation, and it doesn't help to isolate yourself. And if you think of like our parents, when they got upwardly mobile, the first thing they would do is remove themselves from
The
their
community.
situations and go live in the suburbs, go be by themselves, and even think that their parents no longer understand the context within which they operate. But meanwhile, I remember my grandmother, as much as she wasn't a corporate woman, she still gave them such good advice. And I think people are now realizing that you need the support of your community. You need the support of people who love you. Whether it's, in fact, community has become a buzzword for exactly those reasons, that people are realizing you can't do this on your own. So even when it comes to our children, I think, as opposed to maybe them being freaked out that they're going to get marriages arranged, it's like, you know, you need to be guided, you need to be pointed in the right direction, that look at so-and-so, look at so-and-so, look at this family. And yes, how to find a partner. It's not really up to you. It's not about the flame in your heart. There's more things that you can look at. Maybe we should be, should start thinking like that.
And what the meaning of marriage actually is.
Yeah.
In your survival here.
But I mean, in terms of also what you were asking about creating a balance, I think one of the things I learned in life earlier was that balance is hard to achieve, extremely hard. I just think different things take priority at different times in life. You get to a stage, like he says, we're at a stage where you become more deliberate about the time you're spending, whereas there was a time where we didn't mind working around the clock because, you are trying to do this, trying to achieve this. And you get to a stage where you're like, no, I will respectfully decline to do certain things because I'm prioritizing this. You allow yourself that. And that's where it comes from. But otherwise, if you're going to try and get everything, do everything equally at all times, I think it becomes exhausting and draining. And it's not always...
I'm cooking tonight, so that's part of my balance.
It's not
Hamburgers. No. I'm making hamburgers.
Oh, jeez, that's cooking. That's cooking.
No, Zola, we had the
you
Sunday.
could make some French fries.
We had the Sunday roast.
Some French fries.
So my day is a hamburger. It's part of balance, and
see.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great. And
So
then
it's one of those,
Of course, it's one of the easiest things to make. No wonder you're looking forward to it.
Come on, appreciate.
I want to speak, guys, about, I think one of the things, I don't want to underplay this. One of the things that you guys have done, you have shown a lot of people how to do this thing as a couple. Because when you started, I think it's one of the things, even us, that was a striking factor to say, oh my gosh, it can be done. They are doing this as a couple. And I think you may not see it as a big factor now,
wow.
but to have started that revolution back then, when it was not, it was not fashionable.
We used to Tata going that way,
Yes.
Mama going that way to work, and then they converge later on.
You know what I mean?
But to work together, we work together, and we've been working together, and to work together with your spouse, 24/7, you work on
Yes.
So you do marriage together, you do work together, the entire life, is...
No pun intended, but it was not fashionable then.
absolutely.
And you guys made it fashionable.
wow.
Thank you.
But I think what I want to get at is it's so important. I mean, you guys have been consistent
Thank you.
for me for the longest time. You'll never find a time where you're like, whatever happened to them? You know what I mean? One way or the other, you'll find a way of being around, of being there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Consistency, I think, is one of the things. What has helped you to remain consistent? Because honestly speaking, brands come, but brands go. And to be able to maintain a brand consistently
in South Africa.
African luxury fashion it's not an easy thing to do.
Wow, thank you. Sure. I think when it comes to us as a couple and working together, I guess, like I say, for us it's really because we got on. We were really we enjoy each other's company, and without having expecting too much from the other party. I let him be, he lets me be. I can share my ideas, and he's also my cheerleader. Nobody can pick me up more than he can. He always wants the best for me, and I think that's really special. Like he's really, like, when I say cheerleader, nobody can cheer me more, and so I think that has helped us to continue and do the work, and the fact that we both cherish, we as individuals, we both cherish this idea of this Africa that is elevated.
Yeah.
For us, it was really important to really make that meaningful contribution towards African aesthetics, and I'm using the word deliberately, aesthetics, more than fashion, because for us it was fashion. We saw it as a communicator. It was something that was visible. And, you'd be traveling around the world at airports. You can guess where a person is going. You can guess what they do by what they're wearing. So for us, we saw the beauty and the strength behind fashion. It just wasn't, as a communicator, it just wasn't fashion. I often say to with some of the kids when I talk to, I'm like, it wasn't really about beautiful clothes. We were born in a world of beautiful clothes. And that is why, even in our creative expression, we don't just make things because they're beautiful. They're meaningful. For instance, the skirt that you're wearing, it's got those Rasta colors. For us, if you think of these colors, they're part of the Ghanaian flag. They're part of the Ethiopian flag.
All the flags.
They're part of the reggae movement. They've got that meaning to us. It's a strong symbol of our African aspirations, something that is highly recognized in the diaspora. And that has been our approach even with fashion, which is why we'll design certain things and won't design certain things. And that authenticity of expression is also probably what has helped us to stay on course as a brand, in the sense that, we'll be sitting there and thinking, how are we going to make revenue this month? And the next thing, you will see somebody walk in with a deliberate look like, I'm from this production company. I'm looking for this kind of aesthetic, because they knew that when they go into Sungoddess, they're going to find an African expression. They're going to walk in there and find all the dresses are black. You know what I mean? We've stuck to what we said we were doing from the onset, which was to preserve South African culture through fashion, where we will, one of our design directions was to take the 12 different, today you can, back in the day, you would have struggled to walk into a place and said, I need a vendor outfit.
Yeah.
Today's world, you can find so many different vendor outfits, expressions. So we went into a lot of research. Part of what we did was research as a design house. We would research what was a young girl in whatever 1600 in a Xhosa context wearing. What were they wearing in Lesotho? Why were they wearing this in this particular sense? And we've stuck to that. One of the biggest projects we did now was with Sun International, where we were asked to redesign the uniforms for the palace. And because they were celebrating 30 years of the palace at Sun City, and they teamed up with us because they wanted an authentic expression. They could have gone to anyone. They could have gone to a top corporate company. And there's lots of people with great experience, but they said, we want authenticity. We want the people. We want to incorporate the Tswana culture. We are nestled in this rich Tswana culture. Well, sorry, not Tswana. Rich Northwest culture.
Yeah.
And we want that to filter through in the clothes. We want that to translate. And we went into research. We got into the research and tried to understand what those Tswana expressions. So we incorporated the butler blanket. So when you the Tswana fabric. One of the beautiful things about the Tswana culture is that, blue to them is a very strong color. So if you go to a Tswana wedding, you'll see a lot of blue. They own that color blue. Unlike other cultures, it's multi-color.
Is that why there's this Seshweshwe, blue Seshweshwe fabric?
Yes.
Okay.
The Seshweshwe fabric is blue. So we incorporated that. So that authenticity has helped us, in relation to the question you were asking, like how do we, how do
you remain relevant?
How have we managed to carry on doing what we do? So it's those little things where there are people who recognize that, and it like we say, it will be a dry day, and somebody will come because they know exactly what they will find at Sungoddess. They're not going to walk in there and always selling skinny jeans and there's nothing else, because we're going with the times. We're not sure about what we're doing. We had a story. We started with a story, and we stuck to it.
Now you understand why I can't get rid of my skirt.
It's so beautiful.
For years, people have been asking me for this skirt, and I'm like, I am not giving this away. If it means at some point I need to lose weight or gain weight or whatever, so I fit, I will do that.
Oh, thank you. It's
So,
an honor.
Just as we're about to go to a close, I know that, it obviously hasn't been smooth sailing for you guys. There was a point some few years ago where one of your stores was flooded.
Yeah.
And that set you back
Yeah.
quite a bit. And
Oh my God, what a memory, yeah.
I mean, I think in millions, if my memory serves me right.
Stanton Sharpish.
In fact, I mean, you think of the Gautrain. I often think, people take things for granted. Like my kids, they get on the Gautrain, they don't think about it. And I often say, what a price we paid to have this Gautrain running up and down.
Yeah.
Because when they were building Gautrain, two things happened to us that directly impacted us. In our Rosebank store, we had no electricity for months.
Oh, because of the construction.
Yep, there'd be no electricity like maybe from 8 in the morning up until like 1 o'clock. It was dusty. People, remember, we're selling clothes, we're not selling medication. So people aren't going to just come in and they struggle to find parking. It's dusty. They'd be like, you know what, another day. So it impacted our revenue heavily. We launched, when we launched our fragrances, we had stock with millions that was stored underground in one of the basements in Rosebank.
So that it'd be cool and
because it was cooler then.
Wow.
And
Next
when they
thing.
were building, they burst the pipes and they flooded all those millions. And we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? They said, it's not our fault. Go sue the Gautrain company. Wow. When we went there, they said, join the queue. It's happened to La Senza. It's happened to so-and-so and so-and-so. And that was it.
And this is fabric. Once it gets warm.
Fabric and fragrance is gone. And here's the thing. I mean, when you start to deal with big corporates, they know that they can outweigh you with time.
Of course.
You will lose focus trying to fight a fight. The same way that you do with copyright.
Yeah.
Where if your ideas are taken, I mean, we had one of our skirts being copied at Versace, and there was just nothing you can do about it.
I remember that.
Because another thing also with fashion and copyright, if you take the 3 stripes from Adidas, with having 3 stripes and somebody copies those 3 stripes, but maybe one of the stripes is 1 centimeter smaller or shorter, then it's not the same thing. It's a new design.
That's what the Chinese do.
So it's so hard to prove
that something is yours.
that something is yours. So and therefore they will exhaust you with the legal battle, and you will lose focus and money trying to fight those things. So same thing happened with us in Gautrain. So we sacrificed a lot to have it up and running. We paid a price.
So you should have
on many levels.
You should have like a ticket for the whole free ticket for the year.
For
or something.
life. They should have,
For life, actually.
people were compensated. You guys, you paid a price.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How was that for you, Thando? Because, gosh, guys, this is so close to my heart. When a couple is fighting a financial battle.
Those financial battles are something else. So when we were younger, I met up with her and then you start dating, and the whole time I'm like, wow, I couldn't believe, like, each time when Funa isn't there's snacks and she doesn't do them.
Yes.
So even when the financial battles came, she doesn't do the snacks.
Yes, so you have no excuse.
Fact, no, but in actual fact, obviously when you're in it, it's like, oh my God. But, when you look back, those are the things that built us and made character, Yeah. How do you come back from this? We fronted that money up front for that thing because we never took loans. It's the way that we do it at home. You keep the money there and you turn the money. So that, whatever happens, if anything happens to me, she's got 4 million rands of the stock that she can sell for the next year or so while I recover. And so like I said, you've got summons coming this side. You don't have money in the bank. The kids are at school. The school people are threatening. And then we come together. We face this thing together. And we start to hustle. And that's when the excitement comes in, Galo. Then you have to run with the wolves. Semen's like 24 hours a day. I'm looking at her in the eye. She's fine. And, together we create this magic, and you overcome, you become stronger. And that's what character is about, you know. I can't just say being in business is not for sissies.
Yeah.
You know, like the one guy walked in, our lease was up, and you get told that, listen, in 3 weeks, you guys have got to be out of here. And it's the only shop that you have at the time, and it's the only source of income. And how do you come back from that? Yeah, but with a bond in Santa, in Moto, and a band team. Yeah, but you come back from that when there's love, and there's faith, and there's honesty.
Yeah.
You know, I can't live without her. And she's great. She's, you know, sense of humor and like really coming back from adverse situations. Yeah, but like I said, it's what has made us. It's what has made me. And, you know, being in business, the privilege of being in business. The money is one thing. But the fact that I, across the country, don't have to introduce myself when I walk into a room. You know, people look at me, whether it's the label, and they're like, Sungoddess, yeah, sure. I was with white boys the other day from the other bank. I can't mention the bank. As I was trying to explain who I was, they were like, no, Sagwazwan. You know, so, and I am Mr. Mangaliso, the privilege of doing business consistently. Being famous like my mother and father were for the professionals that they were. I'm famous because I'm not just tung yet. The top billing was then it's
So it was not your PR person.
No.
Yeah.
But
but also, we were very lucky. You know, when it comes to, I often say to some of the kids that, you know, we're very lucky. When we started, there was so much hope and excitement in the country. You know, people were looking ahead.
We all knew what it was to be a South African. We knew what to do.
We had an agenda.
Yeah.
You know,
African Renaissance.
You could pick up the phone and call any magazine and say, I've got this product, I think I'd like to showcase in your magazine. And the person at the other end would be like, oh, really? Show me. And then they would look, you know, and then they would introduce you to someone else. Unlike in today's world, everybody's in it for themselves.
Yeah.
You'll pick up the phone and somebody's like, so what are you going to do for me in a way? Oh, you know, the life has become so transactional.
And the influencers as well. They're like, Baba, you haven't achieved anything. You came here 2 years ago. You happened to get onto a show. And,
you know.
And they're like, yeah, listen, if you're going to dress me for the show, don't make me look old. You think of Ozandi Nkapo, Obasitsana, glamorous people. It was just such a beautiful time.
So now, I mean, life is just very transactional. Everyone is in it for themselves. And so there's always also a bit of luck and goodwill with these things and the right timing. But of course, you know, the flip side of it, so we live in an era of social media.
Exactly.
You know, we would have to wait 3 months to get something published.
Yeah.
We
Can
had
you
to
believe it?
We had to buy. I mean, some of the things that we did in this industry that were, you know, had never been done before. Like we would literally go and spend 60,000 on a double a page in a DPS.
That's 300,000 in today's money.
And place and
300,000,
advertising to sell that African aesthetic.
I mean,
because it was
really.
about elevating it and presenting a Sungoddess outfit, a South African-made product, in the same way that Prada was presenting it in the magazine.
Yeah.
And you'd have to wait 3 months. But in today's world, you can take a photo, load it on within a minute. Somebody in Russia has seen it, somebody in South America. You know, they've got those, people are starting out today, they've got those advantages. As much as, okay, there's a lot of clutter and a lot of this that it's hard to break through. It's
and I mean, with the whole range of people that you guys have dressed, I mean, you know, you just sparked something in my mind. You were mentioning Basitsane, Ozandi, and so on. There was something as well, if I remember correctly, about Gabrielle Union.
Yeah. So
these guys have dressed all your international big names.
No, you know, it was just that one day, you know, just a normal Sunday. We were sitting in the shop there, you know, waiting for something to happen, and this lady walks in, and I think she looks pretty. I wonder, I mean, I could tell she's not South African. There's a certain energy about her, thinking she's probably not a Miss Tanzania, you know.
Yeah.
And then I look and I'm like, so she starts shopping in the store. And because she walked in by herself, and there's like 1 or 2 people outside, but not looking like security.
Yeah.
And then as she starts shopping, I'm like, you look like Gabrielle Union. Has anybody ever told you? And she has a great sense of humor. She says, I hear it all the time.
Oh my word!
And so I started helping her. And then I don't know what made it click. And I'm like, no, man, of course it's Gabrielle. Oh, yeah. Then like suddenly I saw security and her husband and everybody came. And I'm like, of course it's Gabrielle Union. And so we helped her with a couple of items in the store, and she bought, and it was just really incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of those things about retail. You meet the most incredible people.
Yeah.
I mean, we've sold a bag to Serena Williams,
Oh, wow.
and
Who's the black supermodel again from the UK?
Naomi Campbell. Yeah.
Naomi.
You're kidding me.
People like that.
Amandala.
Amanda. And I think as well, you guys have got this, which you've maintained over the years, and I don't know how you did that, where your brand is able to cross over in terms of race.
Yeah.
I see a lot of white people resonating with your brand. I don't know whether that's intentional on your end or it just happens.
Well, thank you. I suppose it goes back to that authenticity and the elevation of aesthetics, because we appeal to a particular type of person. This is somebody who's well traveled, who's exposed. They've got the Gucci, they've got the Christian Dior, they've got the Prada.
Like you. She's actually describing you.
Or the Vivian,
You're too nice. Thank you.
or the Vivian Westwood. They see something authentic, something South African, something that is rare. They recognize that, and that's how we've managed to cross over and appeal. I mean, for us, one of the biggest inspirations was watching the Japanese designers when they got to Europe, how when they got there, they stuck to their own, they introduced something new. Like, I mean, in terms, like, for instance, like I say, you won't walk into a shop and find everything is black. We're South African, we're African, so the clothes are colorful. The clothes, like your skirt, there's that love with the signature handcrafted things that other people don't bother doing. If it,
Yeah, and if you think about
it's not instant fashion. It's not McDonald's fashion. We're in and out. There's that extra
There's
bit.
time,
There's that
taken
extra
time.
love. Yes.
Isimiak is dead, Comme des Garçons has been dead for 50 years, and their fragrances, because of the work that they did in the 70s, is selling stronger than ever.
Sure.
It's interesting like that.
Yeah.
So
and then that's what you guys want to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes.
The brand to outlive you.
Yes, to have that through that authenticity, so that even if you are not there. I mean, a proper Sungoddess client can walk into a Sungoddess store, eyes closed. They would smell in the air and be like, "This is not a Sungoddess store."
Yeah.
Or just listening to the music, they'd be like, "This is not a Sungoddess store." They can literally feel the fabric, and they'd be like, "This is not Sungoddess. Sungoddess would never use this."
And if we try to go, because remember,
it's
we
on
also try to go mainstream. Clients will tell you, but they're doing it next
This
door.
is
It's
not
like,
what we know you
more
for.
buttons. Why is it? No, yo, our clients. Put the label on the outside.
Yes. Because you're known for your label on the outside.
That's a very big Durban thing. It was meant for the outside so that you could have it, but then
To
we put it on the
authentic-
inside and
authentic-
But now you
put it on
know.
the outside.
But you understand why.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't spend so much money now and nobody knows.
No, don't joke. Even recently, our clever Joburg Santon clients who are like, no, put the label on the inside. They went to a wedding in Durban, and when I said Durban, we're like, EP label.
So it
And then it
can't
became a fight, and they were like, and the lady had to go, no, here it is.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Remember, Sean and them, they've got the label here.
Yeah.
Really, read the label.
Yes. Oh my word, guys. You know what? We can talk until.
Yeah.
But
Our time.
I'm just gonna add one more question. Don't give me that look.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 3G store.
Yeah.
You guys are elevating things now.
Sure.
As we close this, as you are basically 20. You are moving in with the times.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
to
into
the
the future.
metaverse.
into the future. Where is that 3D store? Are we going to see it in South Africa maybe at some point? Or is it an international thing for now?
No, it's actually, we collaborated with a South African company to create a store in the metaverse. So you can get on there at any time, and, we intend to host conferences there, interact there, because you've got this other like universe happening now on the internet. And it's a growing thing, and it's a very new thing for us. And as we go into the AI world, it's very important for brands are supposed to evolve and participate. Meet your customers where they're at. That's where people are moving. So we're experimenting and exploring that world.
Oh, wow. Guys, we've been looking forward to this conversation for quite a while.
Thank you.
At home for our planning Nopin, we have like slides and slides of various people that would like to sit, with, and you guys have been there, and thank you so
very
much. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And guys, for real, congratulations on your success with this podcast.
Yeah.
It's outstanding.
Thank you.
Discussing family is very important.
Yeah.
We will only fix our ills if we fix the family structure.
That's so good.
So congratulations on everything that you've done as a married couple. It's outstanding. You may not think that people aren't watching, but we take our lead from you as well.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Straight up and down. The way you are holding her hand. Now, must
Yes.
also. So I'm copying you immediately. Hey, man, I was getting jealous here.
It's very special.
We need to close the show. I love how you're holding that hand.
Thank you.
But guys,
Thank
I think we are in closing. This has been an absolute pleasure for us.
Yeah.
It's been a dream. You will not believe it.
Sure.
It's been a dream. I will walk into. He knows. I mean, I would use his money most all the time. I will walk into your store, and he knew that I have to get a Sungoddess. It became part of our culture as a family, and he embraced that culture to say, "Oh, so when are we going to get your Sungoddess item?" Because it became part of us,
Yeah.
But thank you so much, man. It's been a privilege and an honor to be sitting with you,
Thank you, guys.
we are super chuffed.
Yeah.
Thank you for seeing us.
Thank you for seeing us,
holding
making the
space
time
for
as well,
us.
and thinking about us.
And thank you for taking us down that road of reflection and
Yeah,
recollection.
I feel good now.
Because, like I say, you get so busy doing the next thing and the next thing, and you often forget the journey.
Yeah.
And also those reminders of why we've done what we've done, and why we continue to do it, and that it does make a difference to somebody else.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to do it because you think you need to do this, but if it's making a difference to somebody else, it's a huge honor and a worthy exercise.
Oh, man.
So thank you.
Oh, we hope you've been inspired at home.
Yeah.
I certainly am inspired. And we really hope this episode was also inspiring for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Until again next week. Have a good day. Have a good week. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.